Hey Bayek, it's me, and in today's video I'm continuing my look at classic albums, well, albums I think are classic, from my CD collection, which I absolutely love CDs, and well, what else can I say, but this is such a, well, another great album. So it is Wave by Patti Smith Group from 1979. Now, previously, we'd had Easter from 1978, and Easter was the massive album, absolutely massive, and of course, it's got the most famous track on there, Because the Night. Now, the next album, produced by Patti Smith herself, comes out in 1988, and that is Dream of Life. So there's quite a gap there in her career, but she was obviously doing a lot of other things as well. But that is the next release in 1988. There we are. So after this album was recorded, they did a gig in Florence, which turned out to be the last concert for this band, because they disbanded. So you could say after the album was made, they disbanded. Now, let me just do a bit of history about Patti Smith. She was born Patricia Lee Smith, 30th of December 1946. And today she's aged 78, and a career started 1976, and she's still active. She's still got an active career now at 78 years old. She's a singer, songwriter, poet, painter, author, photographer. She's a very talented woman. A 1975 debut album was seen as part of the New York punk movement, and you could see why. She was outstanding in what she was doing already at this particular time. She was outstanding, and a career in that sort of movement developed. And I remember when I was getting interested into punk, that Patti Smith was one of those early influences that came up, and she wasn't actually playing what we call the traditional sort of music that became identified with punk, but it was the attitude, the style of and poetry, and that is what made her such an influence. And it's interesting because again, the biggest hit single, Because the Night, is very much a very commercial sounding, brilliant song. It is an absolutely brilliant song, which will still be with us in 50 years' time or even longer, and it's still with us now. It's one of those songs that pops up still. It is a fantastic. It would be good to perhaps have analysed that song and see how many times it's been used. I suspect it's been used in a lot of films. I know, for instance, Because the Night, it's one of those songs that you just it just gives itself in many ways to a film. It has that you know what, some songs are like that. You could put that in a film, and it talks. It gives you something in the film. Don't know what I'm wittering on, but you might get my idea of what I'm trying to say. It's that kind of song. Now, so her career really took off with that song. And also, I should also mention, Because the Night is co-written with Bruce Springsteen. What a songwriter he is as well, and performer. Now, in 2007, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And now, showing her talent again, she won the National Book Award in 2010 for her memoir, Just Kids. So, the talent is amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, if we look overall at her career, she did 11 albums, and 3 of those albums are credited as Patti Smith Group. She had 2 EPs, 3 live albums, 4 compilation albums, 3 soundtrack albums, 19 singles, and 7 music videos. Absolutely brilliant, and it's still ongoing. Right, so this was recorded in 1979, and it was released on the 17th of May 1979. The studio was Bearsville, which is part of Woodstock, New York. What a famous name that is. And of course the label is Arista. And the producer was, again, and somebody we've come across a lot before, Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren, what a legend, produced some of these artists that I'm going to include, not everyone, but Badfinger, New York Dolls, Grand Funk Railroad, Hall & Oates, Meatloaf, The Tubes, the Psychedelic Furs, Cheap Trick, The Tubes, and XTC. They had a few. There's some more, but I put them as the main ones that stand out for me. Right. So let's get into the lineup of the group. We've got Patti Smith, of course, on vocals. We've got J.D. Doherty on drums. We've got Lenny Kaye on guitar, vocals. We've got Ivan Kroll on bass guitar and guitar. Then we've got Richard Soul on piano. And these are the tracks. The first track is Frederick, and that's written by Smith. We got Dancing Barefoot, which is number 2, which is fantastic. That was written by Smith and Kroll. Then 3 is a cover version. Yes, it's So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, which is, of course, written by McGuinn and Illman, major part of The Byrds. Yeah, that's a great song. The Byrds, what a group they were. Absolutely so talented. And that's a cover of their song, and they do a great job on it. Then we've got Him, which is written Smith and Kaye. That's 4. And then at 5, we've got Revenge, which is Smith Kroll. And then 6, Citizenship, Smith and Kroll. 7, we've got 7 Ways of Going, which again, Smith, Kaye, J.D., Doherty, and Soul. So that's a all collaboration with the group. And then number 8 is Broken Flag, which is a Smith Kaye song. And then at number 9 in the listing, the last track is Wave, the title track. And that is written by Patti Smith. Now, the singles on this were Frederick, Dancing Barefoot, and So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star. Those were the 3 singles. Now, earlier I did mention about the use of songs in films, and because the night being such a major one that has been used. But there's a song on this album that stands out for me, and it was used in one of my favourite TV shows. Um, the song used was "Dancing Barefoot," right, which is absolutely brilliant on this, and it was used in the second season of Millennium. Oh yes, Millennium, the darker Chris Carter creation after the well, similar time to the X-Files. It came out, and I loved Millennium. But yeah, in the season 2, 19th episode, Anami Nemes from 1998, this plays quite a lot, as I remember. In that, it's one that I always remember when I'm watching the story. This playing, it starts at the introduction of the. It just goes into it. This song and Barefoot in the Park, and it's brilliant. It just adds something very special. I'll never forget that. Always never forget that. It's outstanding. So I've wandered off there again, which I do. Wave. What is my impression of the album? Well, the impression of the album is this is a much more commercial album. It feels commercial. Obviously, since Easter, that I think was going to inevitably happen. And don't forget, this is the last of this particular cycle of albums from her. Well, and the band, because the band break up with this after this album. And I think because the other one was such a success, Easter, the critical reception was rather more mixed, and maybe even a bit critical. The kind of sort of almost criticism that it was too commercial. But no, that's rubbish. This is not too commercial at all. Far from it. It's just got some more commercial tracks, and the production may be seen as more commercial. But Patti Smith is still doing her own thing, very much so, with the band there. And this is a great farewell. Yeah, it's a great farewell of the band and performing together. I absolutely loved it. You know, I do love Easter because Easter is perhaps the album, but this one, I've grown to really love this over the years. And the more I play it, the more I just think, wow, this is something special as well. And I love it. Yes, you probably would realise that now by now. But if you're getting into Patti Smith, I think you go with Easter first, and then go into this. If you go into a sort of Horses, the first album, you might find that a bit more difficult, and maybe go back to that, and you can see her roots and her origins, because this is more, I would say more commercial, but she hasn't betrayed her roots, I don't think, at all. And some people would still think they're still the avant-garde side in her poetry, mixed with the group. So yeah, but yeah, it's an album that you can easier get into, but you probably would start with Easter, I think, and then go to this. But from a personal viewpoint, I don't know why, you pick an album, sometimes you have a soft spot for it, and I played this quite a lot, and I really enjoyed it. You know, it's a fitting end to this phase of her career, and say the band breaking up. Yeah, that's it. So before I go, here it is. Here's the CD. You see that there? And there's the back of the listings. And there is a couple of bonus tracks on there as well. You see there. And then inside, here it is. Oh, it's quite nice. So you see the writing on there, handwriting, and then there's more sort of credits on here, you know, production, etc. and that. It's quite nice. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Really love these CDs. You can't beat them, can you? So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and we'll let you know when I put out these videos. And if you look in the playlist, you'll see all the previous reviews that I've done and music reviews. You might find something interesting. But I do a lot more than that. I do a lot of films and TV shows. So if you're looking in the playlist, again, you'll see all that I've reviewed and hopefully you might find something. Now, if you like this video, please give this video a like. Gets it out onto YouTube and hopefully other people then can enjoy them. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments and I'll always answer them. And that's it. I've gone on far too long. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.